Everybody, welcome to our FILE education seminars. It's great to see a hall of people, full of people, so it's not very common for us to see everybody joining us in these seminars, so thank you for coming. And I'd like to thank Canan Hoca for coming today for this very special occasion on CV writing and job interview tips. I'm sure you will benefit a lot from her talk. As you know, she is the Vice Chair of Modern Diller Department, and she will give you a lot of nice tips. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for coming. I wasn't expecting this many people. It's nice to see you all here. How many of you are fourth-year students? Can I see your hands? Oh my God. Almost all of you. And any third-year students? Okay. It's tough to be a fourth-year student, right? Yes. Yeah? Okay. Are you getting stressed out about what you're going to do after graduation? Yes. Yeah, I remember. My memory is not that good, but I remember my final year in the department and graduate of the same department as you, actually. So that was the most stressful year because getting to entering METÜ is a great accomplishment, and now it places a lot of burden on your shoulders after graduation. What's going to happen? What's the next move? And your parents, your teachers maybe, they expect a lot from you. Is that right? Yes. And you don't know what you want to do exactly. Of course, in Turkey, it's tough being a teacher with the Ministry of Education and everything. There are some problems, we all know about it. But getting ready for the job application process, I think, is a very important thing. I remember my final year, the only thing I knew about job application was that I was supposed to apply to some places, and they will call me, or there might be an exam or an interview, and that was it. And there wasn't enough guidance, there wasn't anybody to talk to, so you were kind of on your own. But nowadays, this information sharing is more common regarding how to write a CV, what people do in job application, how to behave in a job interview, etc. But it's time that you start thinking about such things. So that's my actually aim today.
Do you think we need a microphone for the video?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. I would prefer this better, but for the recording.
For the recording.
So shall I?
So do you think it's a problem for the camera? Which camera? Video recording. It might be a problem.
Okay. So that's where. Okay. All right. No problem. I need to take this.
Or you can grab the microphone.
Really?
I don't know. Just try it.
Like a singer. I cannot carry this around. So. Is it okay? No. All right. Okay. So what happened is I had to talk to a lot of people who graduated from METÜ, and there were people working in Weekend University, for example. I had to track these people down and talk to them individually, and that was a lot of effort. So remembering my final year as a student who was about to graduate, I prepared a session for you. I hope you will benefit from this. I called it Now What, because I still remember that feeling. Now what? Because you were a student, okay, you had exams. It's tough being a student in general, but it's fun at the same time. You'll understand better after graduation. You miss being a student, trust me. So what happens next is a really big issue. And with the tips and guidelines I'll be presenting you, I hope you will find something that will work for you and try these out in your own application. And if you get positive results, just share with us. I would appreciate that. Okay? So, actually, I will be taking you through the steps in the job application process. And here you can see the 4 stages you will go through after graduation. The first one is career self-assessment. That's what it's called in literature. And then you go to the second step and explore your options, because after evaluating yourself, the way you behave, the steps you follow for job application might be different for different institutions. And then you prepare your CV and the interviewing stage comes, and if you're successful enough, you get the job or you try some other places. So that's the order we will be following today. When we say career self-assessment, we need to think about 4 different concepts. It's your personality in the first place, your skill set, your interests and values. You have to think about all these 4 concepts to be able to find the right job. So you might say, Hocam, let's talk about reality. In Turkey, we apply for whatever vacancy is out there. I understand that, but you have to be choosing certain things, whatever works for you the best, which ones you prefer less, sort of. You have to think about all these options according to these factors over here. So when we talk about your personality type, there's a lot of literature about personality types. Some people call this pseudoscience. So actually, but it's still worth thinking about such issues. What kind of a person you are will determine in what kind of work environments you could be more successful. So if you are an expressive person, most teachers are expressive. We find it easy to tell people stuff or to explain things. We like teaching and talking to people. And if you are a driver, again, how do we get results, get to the point, quick to find solutions and quick to reach certain, for example, solutions, then it might shed light onto some choices you make in your work environment. If you're analytical or easygoing, for example, it might mean that you could be more successful in some work environments. So how does this apply to you? For example, you want to work in a university context or a primary school. These 2 things are completely different environments, and you have to be thinking about whether you are the right person to be in that work environment. And to be able to judge these things, of course, you need to know what the environment offers in general and whether you will be a fit in that specific environment. And the skills you bring to the organization is quite important also. The knowledge you acquire in university, for example, methodology, grammar, lexes, phonology, learning styles, you know what these things are, right? Because you practice and you learn, you take exams. That's what you learn at university. But after you start working, whether you can apply this knowledge into practice or not, that means a lot. And we think about 2 different kinds of skills, hard skills and soft skills. Do you know the difference between the 2? Or have you ever heard of such concepts before? As you can see here, when you think about hard skills, these are the technical skills. You also develop these skills at university. If you're a computer engineer, for example, you know how to write programs, for example. That's a technical skill. For you, error correction, classroom management, lesson planning, these are technical skills. How you incorporate technology into your classroom, for example. Technically, you know what to do or how to do such things. But in order to be able to use these hard skills effectively, you need soft skills. These might be related to your personality, or these could be some things that you develop over time at university in your life as a student. For example, building rapport with students. Okay, this is a personality issue. Or building motivation, empathy with students. Using hard skills in the appropriate time, in the appropriate way, that's quite important, because that's something that differentiates between really successful teachers and not so successful teachers. So you need a combination of all these things. So at this point, maybe it's really important for you to think about which one of those skills you have already developed, in what areas you need to improve yourself more. These are some things that you develop in the department, maybe with the guidance of your instructors, but some extracurricular activities, what you do outside the classroom in your own time, will contribute to your development as a teacher in a great way. Okay, that's why it's important for graduates to become really knowledgeable in their own field But recruiters also look for other skills that you have seen here. And these come from extracurricular activities or your hobbies, your interests, what you read in your free time, sort of, if you know what I mean. So you have to be offering the whole package to the recruiter because that's what they are looking for. I'll come into detail about what exactly they are looking for during the rest of my talk. So we talked about your personality, your skills, and values also come into play, and they are quite important. And we could talk about intrinsic or personal values, if you could take a look at here. So what is important to you as a person? Do you want prestige or equality, independence? Do you want to be an independent kind of teacher? Do you want work-life balance? So how many hours you want to work a day? Is it okay for you to work during the weekends? You have to be thinking about such issues. So what is important for you, what's not? You have to make a decision before you apply for a job. You have to think about the nature of the work. Is it an achievement-focused work? It's a high-risk work? Do you want intellectual stimulation? You want to improve your intellectual skills, or you want to grow up as a person? Whether the work environment offers such opportunities of growth or for creativity, you have to consider these things. So this requires a lot of research and thinking about the work environment. It might be tough for you to find out because you're still at university. Some of you might have some work experience, but talking to people who has already graduated and they started to work somewhere, maybe your friends, they could give you an idea about what kind of work environment they work in. Work relationships are quite important, and whether teamwork is necessary, is it a competitive environment? If you want low levels of conflict, does the work environment offer that to you? Do you get support from supervisors, for example, in developing, for developing yourself as a teacher? Also, flexibility, tight deadlines, time freedom, stability and security, these are quite important before you apply for a job. That's why most of our parents, actually, they want you to work for the state, not for private institutions. Is it the case? Değil mi? Evladım, devlet olsun. Biraz daha az kazanabilirsin sonra. So that's the conversation we have with our parents. So they also think about such issues. Pleasant surroundings, is it important? Do you want an office of your own, etc.? So these are all the things that you have to think about during your application. And the second step is, you know what kind of person you are, what you want from the work environment. The second step is exploring your options. Sometimes you don't get all you want all at the same time. But what options you have to evaluate these accordingly. Working for the Ministry of Education is one alternative. What else? Private schools. So which one you prefer? These are different environments. Whether you are the right one to be a part of that environment is an important decision. Universities offer you jobs. You want state universities, private. What department you want to work in? Prep schools or modern languages departments, or some other options like academic career. If you want to be a research assistant, for example, that's also an option. Translation, dershanes, they offer you jobs. They are looking for English teachers like crazy. Any other option you have in mind? So you have to think about these things and choose the right path for yourself. I know when you graduate, you apply for whatever you have in front of you, but still you should have a goal in mind and you should be working towards that goal after you make that decision. So where do we look for options? This is the website for Ucar, and whenever universities, when they have vacancies, if they want to fill a position, that's where they post their advertisements, okay? Whether they need somebody or not, that you can see it here. And the second link over here is where you should look. Also, you could check the official websites of certain institutions, because we have to post it on our websites when we are hiring people. You can see their websites, also universities, department websites. You can use websites that offer you the job advertisements like Career.net or yenibiriş.com. There are lots of advertisements out there. And you can just Google search, do some Google search to find out job advertisements for private institutions. So by checking all these websites or places, you can find different options, and the next step will be for you to understand what the advertisement includes. What is it that they are looking for? This is from Ucar's website. You can check it in your own time. It's quite small and you cannot read it, I know, but that's the general look, how it looks. So here you can see what institution is it. This is for Ankara University School of Languages. So they're hiring English language teachers. And you can see the exam date and the last day for applications, where the exam is going to take place. And there are some conditions, requirements for the position. All the related information about this job application is listed here. This is where you should be looking. The number of people they will hire. And it's a long, big page, and there is a lot of information. You have to make sure that you understand and follow the guidelines. Whether you are meeting the guidelines or not, that's the first thing, of course, you should look. This is from Career.net, and an advertisement for a language teacher, English teacher. The requirements are listed. The education level is listed here. Information about military students, military service status for male candidates. The job description is provided here, where you will be located if you get the job. So there is a lot of information about the job, the dates. Sometimes you have information about how to apply for the job and the steps you should be following. You have to make sure that you understand the details if you're interested in this position. When you find a job ad, you can see that there is different language they are using, the terminology, the concepts they are using. There are a lot of different concepts. So you need to make sure that you know what actually they mean when they use phrases like ability to cope with stress. You understand what it means, but what it means for the recruiter might be different. So you have to think about such issues. Ability to work under tight deadlines. What does it mean? So how tight the deadline is, for example, that's a big concern. So this is the information you see in job advertisements. Required qualifications, experience, education, what kind of departments, or whether they need experience or not. Usually what we say to our students in 311 course, that's a business English course, we teach this stuff there. At METÜ. Experience is important, but you could still apply for jobs which require like 2 years of experience. They might be flexible, but if it's an advertisement and it's stated there like 10 years of experience is required, you don't waste your time applying for a job because you'll be screened out automatically. Skills required, the job description is important. What is it exactly that you're going to do when you're hired? The reference number is there. Contact information is important because that's where you will be sending your application to. The process to be followed and the dates for the application, this is the information you will get. So when you get the job ad in front of you, the first thing you need to do is highlight the keywords and phrases in the job application and search on the net what they might possibly mean. When they say tight deadlines or some other responsibilities might be listed, make sure you understand what they mean. Read between the lines, because there might be some really specific issues they highlight there. Check whether you meet the requirements. So experience, education, or some personality issues. Whether you are the right candidate or not, you have to think about it for yourselves first. And the next step is thinking of evidence. If it says good cooperation or building rapport with students, these are the issues that you might have to, there might be some questions in the interview about such concepts. So you need to be ready to answer such questions. They may ask you, for example, okay, you stated in your CV or cover letter that you are good with students. Give me an example or something like that. So you should be ready with evidence, so that you will prove that you are good with students. And the keywords and phrases that appear in the job advertisement, they should appear on your CV as well, so that you kind of indicate with the CV that you are the right candidate. That's why it's important to update and revise your CV every time you make a job application, because the concepts or the keywords might be different. You should be replacing these keywords every time you send your CV somewhere. So understanding the job ad is a really important, crucial step. So what comes next is preparing your CV. Have you ever prepared a CV? Do you have your CVs ready? No. Yeah? Okay. So the CV business is quite serious nowadays, because people get a lot of applications, and what they do is they look at the CVs first and see which candidates kind of stand out. Okay? And they invite those candidates for the interview stage. So let's see what are the things that we have to consider as we prepare our CVs. So what happens after you send your CV to an institution?
You're waiting.
You're waiting? So what do you think they do with the CVs? Like, for example, they will hire 5 English teachers, and they have 100 applications on their desks. Yeah?
Most probably, they will sort out the CVs according to their priorities.
Priorities. Okay, so that's where the job advertisement comes into play again. So what they do is compare and contrast. Of course, there should be some elimination. You cannot invite all of these people for interviews. Private institutions don't do that. But in state institutions, there are different requirements or regulations about such issue. They have to screen. Okay? So the ones that stand out, they will be invited for the next stage. The ones that are not really looking, like they don't see a potential or something, or there is not a match with the job advertisement, they just eliminate those candidates right away. And this is a really quick process. That's why preparing a CV is really important. You have to make sure that you get their attention and they notice your CV. So, and they do this by following 3 steps. First is scanning for keywords, the keywords I told you about in the job advertisement. So very quickly they scan for keywords. The ones attracting their attention will remain on their desks. The other ones are tossed out. Evaluation of the qualifications. So with the remaining ones, they evaluate the qualifications according to job description and the requirements for the job. And the final step is a more detailed evaluation, qualitative review. That's to differentiate between the candidates, the ones with the potential and which ones to invite, which ones to see and talk to. They have to make a decision. For practical reasons, it is important. So, when you prepare a CV, what kind of information you place there? Firstly, there should be some information about your personal details. That's the first thing at the top of the page. It's your name, your address, your telephone number, and email address. And whenever they want to reach you, you have to make sure that you are available. They can talk to you. You take your mails. So this should be an email address that you use frequently. Or you could get a new one for job application only, which looks really professional. So you avoid email addresses like crazychick at blah blah sort of thing. Or email addresses really long and lots of numbers and dashes and dots and that kind of thing. That might be complicated. So get a professional one and use that one for your application. The second category is for your education. So here you list the dates. You don't mention primary school here. So you start with high school and go upwards. The school name, department, you could list your thesis topic, but you don't have a thesis, not anymore, okay? And your degree or core subjects, these could be the details you provide under education. If there is any specific project or achievements you could talk about, write these things. For example, being a high honor student, that might become handy in your job application. You might list such things. And you have to go in reverse chronological order, starting with the most recent one and going backwards. Okay, so your university degree, that's the first thing you write, and then you go to high school. Work experience is another item. Start with the most recent or relevant. That's the general rule whenever you need to prepare a CV. Dates, employer name, job title, and job description. That's what you should write. Just providing the title and the institution name is not important. You have to make sure you list whatever you acquired working and not job. What is it that you learned and practice on an everyday basis, for example? You have to list those things. I'll show you an example in a minute how you could do it. So if you don't have any work experience, what do you do? Just skip it. Exactly. Adapt it according to what you can offer. So for most people, if they have work experience, for example, you started working in an institution and 3 years later you are making another application, in that case you have to change their places. Okay? Place work experience first and then your education. But your education, your degree is the most important thing you have right now, so that's what you will be highlighting on your CV. So try to make that section as detailed and comprehensive as possible. When you get some work experience, then we can just swap their places. Other experience might also be listed on your CV. You also need to highlight your responsibilities and provide specific information. For example, you could be a member of a club, you could be in the management team, and you organize some events, for example, for your friends or for other people. You could have some responsibilities in your department. You could list those things. These are quite important on a CV because it shows that you are not limited to being a student, but you wanted to and try to develop yourself in other fields as well. Yeah? Sure.
If you work but not as a teacher, something else, should we write for work experience or other experience?
Is it really work, like you earned money doing it?
Yes.
Like private tutoring or something?
No.
No, something completely unrelated?
Yeah.
If you think it's important to mention that, if you think you can transfer some skills from that job to the new job you're seeking, then I think you should write it. Okay?
Work or others?
Work, under work experience you can write it, if it's really work that you did. Okay? Sometimes it might not be work, but something else, like a hobby or for your personal interest, you could do something. This could be related to other experience section more. Okay? I don't think any work you do during your education, during your time at university, you shouldn't think like it's not relevant, I shouldn't write it there. It shows something about you as a person, even if it's completely unrelated. Still, it shows that you can manage your time, you can spend some time on other things other than studying for your courses, for example. So it's a good thing. Make sure you have it. Practice teaching, I don't think it's work experience. It could be listed under education, for example. It's a part of the education process, so I think it should go under education. But anything else could go here, other experience section. Okay?
What about another internships?
Internships? So in an educational institution?
No.
You could still list though. Whatever you think is important that contributed to your development as a person or as a teacher, it should be there. Okay? Because being a student is not enough. Being a good student is not enough anymore. You have to have other soft skills, remember? We talked about it. So it's an indication that you have those skills. You could have different sections. You can name those sections differently. And when you Google CV writing tips, CV templates, you will find millions of alternatives. So pick one template which works for you and create your CV afterwards. It's hard to do it, to start from scratch. So find something that works, something that appeals to you, that looks nice and neat and organized, and work on that template and try to fill in the blanks. If you have anything extra, like internships, your hobbies or interests, you could add those pieces of information in the template itself.
So should we add internship in work experience or education?
Is it an educational thing? No.
Another internship.
So it depends. It could go both places. If it's related to education, internship like practice teaching, it should go under education, I think. Or other might be more appropriate. Work experience, it's not really work experience, but if you indicate that it's an internship, clearly highlighting that word, I think it won't lead to any confusion, so it could go under work experience.